Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Welcome to episodio número 42, episode number 42 of the Nico Chronicles. It is a beautiful Thursday evening, April 20th, 2017. What is up, everybody? What's poppin'? This is your host, the one and only Nico Saracino. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to as I said, the 42nd episode of the Nico Chronicles. And I failed to mention this via social media. I failed to mention this as I am a minute ahead of time here this evening. I failed to mention it, but I think we're officially 1 year in to TNC. I don't remember the exact dates of the show. I believe it was around April 13th or 14th that I started last year. So April 13th, 2016 was the official start date of the program, if I'm not mistaken. So that's big. 42 is also Jackie Robinson's number. You know, it was Jackie Robinson Day last Saturday, actually, in Major League Baseball. Everyone wearing his number 42, so that's pretty cool. But, yeah, I'm pretty proud. We had a lot of great guests over these last 365 plus days. I kind of went into it a couple weeks ago, how blessed and fortunate I was to have a bunch of great people, you know, friends in college and just people in the journalism and sports industry. Those were the main people that I had. And shout out to the fam, my parents and my sister, for tuning in and commenting on the Facebook live stream. For those of you wanting to check it out via social media, of course, facebook.com/The Nico Chronicles. You can also call in at 701-801-2251. Press the number 5 to chat with me if you feel like chatting. But we have plenty to discuss tonight, yet not that much, because in terms of topics, it's pretty clean-cut and straightforward. But I want to first get to the reason why I did not have the show last week. Last week was April 13th, 2017. The reason was that my sister had a beautiful baby girl by the name of Enza, short for Vincenza. So shout out to my sister Fiore for giving birth to a beautiful baby girl. She will be dancing around in no time. So she's officially 1 week old. Super precious. And yeah, we went to the hospital yesterday, or last week. Sorry, it felt like yesterday. Last week around this time, actually, we were just getting back from the hospital. She was born around, what was the official birth? I think it was around 2:15 or 2 o'clock. Somewhere around that was the official birth time. And yeah, she's really beautiful. So I became an uncle. 2:16, thank you very much. 2:16 was the official time. I was trying to rely off the text messages, but yeah, I was close. Anyway, she's beautiful. I was a little nervous at first. I had never held a newborn before, so that was a bit of a nerve-wracking moment there. You know, you're not sure like where to put your hands. You don't want to make the baby feel uncomfortable. You got to be really careful with that, you know, since they're fragile little rascals. So I think I've been I think my family can attest to the fact that I've been improving. See, it's all about the good bicep work. You know, you gotta know how to evenly distribute the weight and stuff like that. So, you know, after about 3-4 times, I think I kind of had it in the bag there. So it's been a pretty swell time, and so obviously that's why I didn't do the show. You know, jokingly, I thought about live streaming from the hospital, but that obviously would not have been the best idea. Although, you know, could have gotten a lot of views. You know, who knows? But yeah, it's been fun. She's a week old, rocking the onesie like a straight up baller, rocking the giraffe onesie. So Shout out to Enzo up in the club right now. So that was why I did not have episode 42 last week. That's my point. So, shout out to everybody tuning in. Gabe tuning in as well. What's up? So it's been an exciting week. Also last week, for those of you who follow me on social media, I had the chance to go out to Soho. Had a little full body training sesh with Don Saladino, celebrity trainer. Trains a lot of golfers, actors and actresses such as Ryan Reynolds, Scarlett Johansson, Blake Lively, those kind of folks. Yeah, great cardio work down in Soho over there. So if you ever buy Drive 495, he also owns another facility, Drive 423, I think, in Midtown, if I'm not mistaken. He's a swell guy. So that was a fun time too. Well, fun's a loose term I'm using there because I kind of hated it at the time. The thing is, they're introducing their sports nutrition line. So we had the pre and post workout, and the rest was a straight up cardio, pretty much, and calisthenics. So it was very interesting, to say the least, but educational. I hadn't done that kind of workout in a long time. So anyway, that also happened last week. That was Wednesday. And sports-wise, one of the biggest things going on right now, in my opinion, are the NBA playoffs. As I said in the via the social media announcement a couple hours ago on Facebook and Twitter, there's been a lot of playoffs going on. Obviously, there's 16 teams who make it, 8 from the East, 8 from the West. So let me break down the matchups for you. Of course, you have the Cavs versus Pacers, which is a 1 or 2 versus 7 matchup. Boston versus Chicago, which is the number 1 versus 8 matchup. Milwaukee versus Toronto, and Washington versus the Hawks. So Wizards versus Hawks. And then on the West, of course, Utah Jazz versus the Clippers, Thunder versus the Rockets, Warriors versus the Blazers, and the Spurs versus the Grizzlies. So a lot of intriguing matchups there. A lot of interesting matchups. But I mean, I'm just looking at the matchups here. If you were to ask me what the most surprising result was so far, because if you think first round, there's going to be a lot of sweeps, or at least 5-game series wins. Right now, guys, the Boston Celtics, they come into the Eastern Conference. They win the Atlantic Division fairly easily in the East, which has the Nets, who finished last, Big T Dubs. They come in there, they get the number 1 seed from the Cavs, which is big. And now they're facing the 8 seed Bulls, okay? The Bulls, their best player, Jimmy Butler, who's playing out of his mind right now. Rondo in Game 2 of the series, though, Rajon Rondo, who's had his ups and downs this season. Look at this stat line right here. Let me just pull it up. I don't have it here, do I? I don't have the stat sheet here. Oh, here it is. Okay. 11 points, 14 assists, and 9 rebounds. 1 rebound short of a triple-double. And the other storyline, of course, Isaiah Thomas losing his 22-year-old sister in a one-car crash over the weekend last week. So, shout out to the Thomas family. So he's playing through a lot of grief and adversity. The fact that he even played that game was incredible, I say. So, let her rest in peace, and condolences go out to the Thomas family. But in terms of the series, guys, that's just been a shocker. Thomas is obviously not playing like himself. The team themselves are struggling, and it's kind of obvious. But the Celtics obviously need to pull this one around in Chicago tomorrow. So there's been that. That's a 2-0 game, 2-0 lead, and then of course the Cavs lead the Pacers 2-0 in that series, and the other ones are pretty clear cut, I think. I mean, Milwaukee and the Raptors 1-1 there. Washington looks like they're going to run away with that one against the Hawks fairly easily. I don't anticipate it going more than 5 games. So, the East is rather straightforward, but the Cavs and Pacers, along with the Bucks-Raptors game, is actually taking place as we speak. So I want I want to dive into that because I'm pretty shocked by the scores right now. Look at this. From Conseco Fieldhouse in Indiana, the Pacers are actually leading the Cavs right now, 96-86. 11 minutes left to go in the fourth. Okay. You look at this. If you guys look at the first two games, the Pacers could have easily won those games. Paul George has been doing everything, quite frankly, on his own, which is why they haven't. So this could easily be 2-0 Pacers. But anyway, look at the stats line right now. Oh, what a surprise, Paul George. Paul George leads all scorers with 28 points, and to top it all off, he's got 14 rebounds. Okay? And then, of course, LeBron has 26 points. No surprise there. But this guy constantly is having it to really carry the responsibility for the Pacers. I mean, he's their star player, honestly. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. But when I saw the score, I just checked in before the start of the show. The Raptors and the Bucks. Guys, this is no typo. The Bucks are leading 57-25. For those of you math buffs out there, they're up by 32 points. Okay? 32 points they're up by. This is only, we hit about the 2-minute mark, 2:17 mark in the second quarter. So the Raptors have not even hit the 30-point mark by halftime. I mean, they have 2 minutes to go, but I don't know what the history books say, but that's going to be one of their lowest scoring halves ever, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely top 5 at the very least. So I'm really surprised. The Greek Freak, of course, is having a baller game right now. I'm trying to pull out the box score for you guys. Yeah, I mean, the leading scorer right now is Middleton, actually, with 14. The Greek Freak has 10 of his own. So there's really been evenly distributed scoring. So that pretty much breaks down the East. Now, I'm really excited here. Very excited as I tap my tablet here. The game yesterday. Last night. Did you guys get the chance to check out, or at least see the highlights of the Thunder-Houston Rockets game? Well, long story short, the Rockets won that game 115-111. But the Thunder actually led by about 12 with 5 minutes left. Okay, so Russell Westbrook checks out of the game. I believe he's out maybe all of 2 minutes in that span. The Rockets come all the way back. And of course they win. The final score was 115-111. Just look at the stat line for for Westbrook, excuse me. If you guys remember, Westbrook, he broke the record by getting 42 triple-doubles on the season. He averaged a triple-double for the season, which hasn't been done since Oscar Robertson in the 1961-1962 season, I believe it was. And he just adds to that. Yesterday, 51 points. Yes. Yeah, guys, that's not a typo. 51 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists. That's the most points scored ever in a triple-double during the postseason. That's sick. Okay, and just to put into perspective, the Thunder finished with 111 points, okay? So, Russ scored 51 of those. That's about 40+% of the points one guy was responsible for. What does that tell you? It tells you that the rest of the team was not very productive at all. Okay, they failed to get any really productive scoring from anybody else. Westbrook led in all categories with that triple-double. Points, rebounds, and assists, obviously. And the closest scorer to him was Roberson. Andre Roberson finished with 12. Come on. That's unacceptable. This is a team with Victor Oladipo, Steven Adams, Enes Kanter. Where's the production here? Enes Kanter only 4 points. Doug McDermott from Creighton, 11. Okay, he's coming off the bench at least. I can get that. But the other guys are not doing anything. Like I hate to sound naive in that sense, but the production is not there. And then of course you look at. Let's take a look at the. I need to take a look at the Houston Rockets. Okay. The Houston Rockets taking the 2-0 lead. Of course, with this debate for MVP between Westbrook and Harden, Harden's making quite a debate. He's making things interesting here. Okay, look at this. Harden, 35 points, not too shabby. 35 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. So he's sharing the ball. It's not like he's being selfish with it. And then the distribution, at least. Patrick Beverley, 15 points. Eric Gordon, 22. Lou Williams, 21. At least those 3 guys combined for 98. 77, 57. 78 points, excuse me. 3 guys combined for 78. So at least you're getting somewhat of an equal distribution. So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, guys. I mean, I hate to sound old school and, provide a common sense take, but quite honestly, there's no I in team. Russ can be a heck of a player. He's an all-star, he's a superstar, but if no one else is producing for him, there's no way they're going to get past the first round. I mean, they already have to dig out a 2-0 hole, not that it can't be done. The Cavs did in NBA Finals last year against the Warriors. Warriors did it the year before against the Cavs. So, I mean, it's not like this stuff has never been done, but this is going to be tough. When the opposing team knows that you're the best player and that you're going to do a bulk of the scoring or be responsible for most of those points, you better believe they're going to make a plan to shut you down. Mike D'Antoni is as good of a coach as any in the NBA. He did it on the Suns with Steve Nash. He was with the Knicks for a few years. This guy has a pretty good pedigree. He's got a good repertoire. A good resume, if you will. So you better believe he's going to shut him down. It's just going to be interesting to see how it develops. And so, the final game tonight, 9:30. 9:30 p.m., actually about 15 minutes. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Spurs. And again, that's another series. One of several where the Spurs lead 2-0. But here's a good story I saw on NBA.com actually an hour ago. Mike Conley, one of the highest paid players in the league right now. I think he's definitely the highest paid guard, over $100 million. Overall, he got a contract for over $100 million. I believe it's over 5 years or so. Don't quote me on that. But this guy, he does a lot of community work. He has a reputation for being generous within the community of Memphis and everything like that. They are in Memphis today playing Game 3, obviously. So Mr. Conley purchases 500 tickets. He buys 500 tickets, and he hands them out to fans for free. I thought it was a nice little gesture. Or huge gesture, actually. A lot of these fans lined up since 5:30 in the morning this morning. And a lot of them couldn't afford to go to the games. Tickets are expensive nowadays. It's 2017. Costs are only going up. And he did what he could. And it's all about involvement. He's a genuine guy. He wants to see he wants people to go to the games. And he wants them to support. And that goes a long way. That just kind of shows how much he's willing to lend a helping hand. And just the love that he has for the game. Or for the fans. Not everybody's like that. So shout out to Mike Conley for that. I thought that was cool. That was very nice. And the head coach of the Grizzlies, after Game 2 complained of the officiating. If you guys haven't seen this video, check it out. complained to the officiating with such a passion. It was about a 30-second rant that he had where he criticized the officiating for favoring pretty much the Spurs and respecting Greg Popovich more, and he for being like a rookie head coach. That's kind of where it came from. So he complained. He slammed his fist on the table, and he pretty much just stormed out, which wasn't cool to the NBA. They end up slamming him with a $30,000 fine, and you just kind of get a good sense of the camaraderie and the chemistry and like the love between these teammates in Memphis. All the players volunteered to cover Coach Fizdale's $30,000 fine. So Fizz is not going to be paying for the 30 grand. The players are all going to be chipping in and covering the fine, which is pretty cool. He pretty much stuck up for them. So, you know, that love between coaching staff and players, it's got to be both ways, and it's pretty cool that it's being reciprocated. So I thought that was interesting. We'll see how it translates to Game 3 tonight. I'm going to be curious. Down in Tennessee. And then wrapping up the matchups, Utah and LA Clippers. The Clippers, actually, in Game 2 redeemed themselves after Game 1. Mr. Joe Johnson, the former Brooklyn Net and Phoenix Sun, and Miami Heat man. Joe Johnson, a.k.a. ISO Joe, did what he does best. He hit a buzzer beater. He got the friendly roll as time expired to win Game 1. And Game 2, the Clippers just went off. So, series there tied 1-1. Game 3 going to be taking place tomorrow as well. And lastly, in the NBA, Game 2 between the Warriors and the Trailblazers, or Blazers as they're called now. This was interesting because the Warriors won this game single-handedly. 110-81, so that's a 19-point win. And what's crazy is you assume, oh, they have all their starters and their bench play. Not at all, actually. Durant set out the game with a sprained calf. Shaun Livingston, one of my favorite players, out with a right index finger sprain and a hand contusion. And Matt Barnes, who was recently picked up, also out with a right ankle and foot sprain. So 3 key players in their rotation were out that game. And I mean, honestly, that's pretty much essentially it's the same team from last season. Besides Shaun Livingston not being there. So Steph Curry, of course, does what he does best. 19 points, 12 rebounds. Or 19 points. Draymond Green, 10 assists, 12 rebounds. So there's so much cohesion. So much cohesion within this team. They've been playing for a few years now, so they obviously know how they play. And Klay Thompson as well. He struggled in Game 1 shooting-wise. So much better this game. So much better this game. Look at the shooting percentage here. 6 of 17, not bad. That's about 33%. 17 points, though. 16 points, excuse me. It's interesting. You look at the Warriors' box score. I said this like 2 seconds ago, but Steph Curry, 19 points. That leads all scorers for the Warriors. Okay? It actually leads all scorers in the game. You compare that to the Rockets and the Thunder series. You compare that. Those guys are having to average 30-plus points. You look at Westbrook and Durant. It's just like 2 completely different game plans. You can tell the ball is more evenly distributed here. They're obviously about sharing. They're obviously all about sharing the wealth and everything like that. Of course, Lillard for the Blazers has to do more offensively. But even him, he didn't do too much either. 12 points. 12 points and 0 assists, 2 steals, 4 rebounds. So, I mean, a pretty average night for him. He's used to more of an outpour. So, it's interesting to see how that's going to pan out. I'm wondering to see if any any of these teams can at least steal a win at home. Because half these series are shutouts, nonetheless, or so far. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see. And for those of you wondering how that Cavs game was going, as I told you, the score was 96-86 about 5 minutes ago. Pacers with 6 minutes remaining in the fourth, they're only leading by 101-100. So things are heating up there. I gotta assume if the Pacers lose that game, unfortunately, being down 3-0 against the world champs, that's gonna be tough to come back from. So Pacers gonna try to hold on there. And Bucks officially a halftime lead by 27, guys. 57-30. So Raptors did hit the 30-point mark. So shout out to them. But that's tough hold that they got out of there. If we're being real, 57-30 at halftime. And lastly, this just in actually today. The New York Football Giants, baby. Less than 160 days to the regular season, to the start of the regular season. The Giants released their schedule today. And not really any surprises. The 2017 schedule. It starts Sunday night, September 10th, 8:30 p.m. Sunday night football matchup against the Cowboys, of course, at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, in Arlington, which is going to be happening for the third year in a row. So the schedule makers like that matchup. Cowboys and Giants from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. This is the 5th time in 6 years that the Giants face off against the Cowboys. And for 3 years in a row, like I said, they're all the way. So a nice little matchup there. It's their 5th consecutive road opener for the Giants as well. They did pick up a nail-biting win last year in Game 1. You remember the Cowboys were driving down the field with a chance to win it. Romo was QB at the time. Prescott didn't get the chance to prove himself yet. Romo was QB. And Terrence Williams caught the ball in bounds, and the clock pretty much ran out on them. That's pretty much what happens. So, who knows what could have been if that drive continued. But nonetheless, the Giants got out of Arlington with a win. Hopefully they can do the same this year. We'll see what happens. And then, of course, some other interesting matchups that they play throughout the season. Chargers, Bucks, Seattle Seahawks, LA Rams, who are should be an interesting team. The Cardinals, and of course the Denver Broncos. Not to mention all the NFC East divisional games against, of course, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Redskins. So it's going to be interesting. Very similar to last year's schedule, though. If I'm not mistaken. They did face a lot of those teams as well. They faced the Rams, I think it was, in London, which I think they won that game. So, it'll be interesting. I'm excited for the football season. I never do well in fantasy, but it's fun to watch. Same thing goes with NBA fantasy. I did not do that this year. It's a lot of work for you guys who do NBA and MLB fantasy. I salute you, because even if you set your lineup so we can advance, that's a lot of maintenance, because there's a lot of injuries that go down. You gotta constantly look at the injury wire and the news wire, whatever you call it. So props to you guys. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode number 42. A year since TNC has been around, or now more than a year. Because quite honestly, I don't know the precise date in April 2016, but thank you guys for the Jackie Robinson episode number 42. Thank you to my family and friends for tuning in. Shout out to my niece Enza. I love you and the rest of my family and everybody. And thanks, guys. I will try to be back next week for your normal scheduled programming. Episode number 43 will hopefully be Thursday evening, April 27th. I have a few ideas for some guests I'd like to book, so I'll keep you in the loop about that. Until then, guys, I wish you guys a fabulous rest of your Thursday evening. Go watch the Cavs game if you're a fan. I'm about to do that myself. So, if not, get some rest. I love you guys very much, and have yourselves a wonderful weekend.